Welcome back to Outside Views, and today's topic is a political paradox. Keir Starmer, Britain's Labour Prime Minister, is earning praise on the world stage, but facing a growing rebellion within his own party at home. And why? Because of austerity. As always, I want to be upfront. I'm not British and I like to look on everything from the outside. I think that Brexit was a terrible mistake, and I said that now. And now, as the consequence of that mistake continue to shape domestic politics, we are watching Britain's centre-left government adopt economic measures that look very much like conservative ones. Starmer recently emerged as a leading figure in European diplomacy, especially amid growing instability caused by Donald Trump's foreign policy. We all know what's happening there. He's chaired summits, built coalitions, and proposed plans for European security. Internationally, his reputation is stronger than ever. His approval ratings have risen, and even critics have commended his calm, pragmatic style on foreign policy. But back home, it's a different story. In March, his government unveiled one of its most controversial domestic policies yet: major cuts to disability benefits. And these reforms target the personal independence payment, the most important social benefit for disabled people in the UK. And they include new hurdles for young people under 22 to claim disability support. The stated goal? Integration into the workforce. The real goal? Savings. The government hopes to reduce social spending by £5 billion a year starting in 2030. But of course, that announcement triggered immediate backlash. James Taylor from the disability charity Scope called the reforms a catastrophe for living standards. Clive Lewis, a Labour MP, accused the government of turning its back on people who are already at the brink. And he said plainly, "This is not what the Labour government should do." And other backbench MPs echoed that view. Some in Labour's socialist campaign group are already in open revolt. Starmer may be ignoring them for now, but their voice is growing louder. And if more Labour factions join the opposition, his authority could be seriously weakened. So, how did he get there? Why is a Labour government implementing policies many associate with the Tories? Because the government says it's dealing with economic reality. It argues that public finances are tight, that the UK's debt is too high, that tough choices must be made. And it's true that the economic outlook is bleak. Growth is sluggish, productivity is low, public services are overstretched. But instead of investing in the future, the government is cutting. Instead of reforming tax policy or targeting wealth inequality, it's tightening social spending. Instead of looking for new sources of revenue, it's taking from the most vulnerable. And this pattern goes beyond disability support. The heating allowance for pensioners was recently slashed. A 2-child cap on child benefits introduced by the Conservatives has been maintained. And the government has pledged to cut what it calls bloated bureaucracy. It's restructuring the National Health Service, a move that could eliminate 20,000 jobs. It's increasing military spending partly by cutting foreign aid. It has even toughened asylum policy. And just last week, Health Secretary Wes Streeting bragged in Parliament, "Labour is doing what the Conservatives only talked about." And that right there is the heart of the issue. If Labour governs like the Tories, what does it mean to be Labour? What's the point of the party if it doesn't protect the vulnerable, expand opportunity, and challenge inequality? And some in the party are asking exactly that. And you know that I'm not even close to Labour. And Starmer's inner circle knows it. And so far, only the Socialist Campaign Group, that's about 24 MPs, has launched an overt rebellion. But many others are uneasy. They may not speak out yet, but they are watching. And they are wondering how their constituents will react. Because at the end of the day, MPs want to keep their seats. And if Labour's policies start to look like austerity with a red ribbon, they could lose support in the very communities they are supposed to represent. People might just vote for the original. And this is especially important given the post-Brexit context. Many of the regions that swung to leave in 2016 were hit hardest by austerity. They were promised change. They were promised investment. And now, once again, they're being told there's no money. And the political risk is obvious. People may begin to wonder, was this really the change we voted for? Was the promise of a fairer Britain just another slogan? Or is austerity now the only policy language that any party in Westminster is willing to speak? Let's take a look and a broader look at the political implications. When Labour shifted to the centre under Starmer, the logic was clear. Win back swing voters, appear economically credible, and neutralise Tory attacks. But there's a risk in neutralising your own identity. Because if you abandon the very ideals that you brought into politics, if you stop fighting inequality in this case, if you stop defending the welfare state, then what's left? That would have been Labour. Not that I would have liked that, but it would have been Labour. What remains when the Labour brand no longer inspires hope, when it no longer offers a bold alternative? The danger is not just internal division. It's apathy. It's disillusionment. It's a hollowing out of political engagement. And that's where the movements start to fracture. Already there are whispers of a new progressive coalition. Small parties, activists, trade unions, left-wing think tanks, all watching closely, all wondering whether Labour can be the party of the people again, or whether it has permanently become a technocratic centrist machine. The historical memory of Labour matters here too. This is the party of the NHS, the party of the welfare state, the party of Bevan and Attlee, of bold visions and post-war reconstruction. And now, it is the party proposing cuts to disability support. How did they get from there to here? And let's not forget the timing. This is a moment of overlapping crises. A housing crisis, a cost of living crisis, a climate crisis, a crisis in public health, and a crisis, most importantly, of confidence in politics itself. People are not looking for austerity. They are looking for solutions, for courage. And in case of Brexit, they don't have the courage that is needed. But they are looking for leaders who are willing to challenge the status quo, not just manage it. If Labour won't offer that, who will? Will voters turn back to the Tories, disillusioned but familiar? Will they stay home, disengaged and disappointed? Or will they look for new alternatives entirely? Even the radical ones. Starmer has a choice. He can continue on his path, betting on stability, centrist messaging and international respectability, or he can confront the growing unrest within his party and re-center Labour around the principles that made it matter in the first place and go back to Labour's idea on Brexit. And the choice is not just about internal politics, it's about the country's direction. And it's about what kind of future Britain wants to build. A future of austerity or a future of ambition? That's it for today's episode, but what do you think about Keir Starmer's current direction? Is austerity a betrayal or a necessity? Should Labour stay the course or correct it? Is the left wing of the party right to rebel? Well, please let me know in the comments below the video. And if you appreciate deep dives into UK and EU politics, be sure to like the video and subscribe to Outside Views. That's where we challenge the spin and look beyond the headlines. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time, and the next video is right here in the end screen.